FIDIC clauses you must know before submitting an EOT claim. So if your contract is under FIDIC, you have to have a good knowledge about these clauses so that you can well draft an EOT with proper entitlement and evidences. If your contract is not a FIDIC based also, if it is a bespoke also, you can take an inspiration from all these classes, because all these classes will also be available in bespokes, mostly with different class numbers but the same titles. So we'll go one by one. So why these classes matter? EOT claims fail because mostly the contractual clauses get ignored. If the contract clauses are not properly quoted, the entitlement itself will change. For example, if there is a COVID and there is no suspension but still the work is going, and if you claim it under force majeure, you get only time. But if you are able to claim it under change in law, you get both cost and time. But there should be an actual damage for this proof. That is the actual evidence. So that is the next stage. Before going to the next stage, if you are declaring a wrong class, then your entitlement will go down. So that is where it says that it gives entitlement link to the notice, records, what is the cause, and what are the mitigation efforts. Class 1.9 delayed drawings. When there is a late drawings in terms of, for example, if it is a construction contract, the drawing has to come from the employer to the contractor. If it is an EPC contract or a design build contract, the contractor submits the drawing, the employer approves it, and then it comes back again to the contractor. So any delay in that period also, it counts to the delay to the contractor. So when the contractor quotes this clause to prove his request, he has to have a proper follow-up. He should prove the impact and maintain the logs, drawing logs or the RFI logs to prove the delay. Class 2.1, site access. So it is one of the very commonly found delay in providing site access. So land is not handed over. The contractor should prove that what was the planned site access and what was the actual site access in terms of days and in terms of areas or geography, and link that to the critical path. If it is not affecting the critical path, then it's not the delay. Class 4.1, contractor obligation. So you should always think in mind that whenever an EOT is submitted, definitely it will be challenged by the PMC or employer, because they have the rights to challenge and they have the capacity to determine what is it the EOT is right or not. So at that time, you have to show adequate planning and resources to defend, because most of the defense from the employer or the PMC will straight away focus on the productivity of the contract, and it will question the resources. See, in the plan you have shown you will bring this much resources, but you have only brought very less resources to the site. So be ready to address that. Class 4.6, interface. So when too many contractors are being involved, a delay by one of other contractor will definitely affect this contract. So what you should do? You should maintain interface MOMs with other contractors, and you have to maintain the NCRs which result in delay. For example, there is a civil contractor, there is a foundation upon which a mechanical installation has to be happened. If the civil foundation gets an NCR from the client, that it's a non-conformity report or a quality defect report, the civil contractor has to rework on it, which is not will be in the original plan, and that will affect the movement of the mechanical subcontractor. So this is how if you are the mechanical subcontractor, you will get affected. So you have to maintain all these evidences to prove it. Class 4.7, setting out. These are the most important data transferred by the employer to the contractor, either to start the construction or to start the design phases. So if there are any mistakes in these benchmarks, it will have an entire impact on the complete project. So for example, if there are survey reports and the survey reports are not properly been classified or categorized, or there is a major flaw in that, the contractor has to prove the requirement of resurvey and the time and cost spent on the resurvey as per this class. Class 4.12, physical conditions and forcing physical conditions, that it might be any hard rock or obstructions found below. So use photos evidence to provide that, and give them the survey reports. For example, sometimes the cables might be going inside heavy high voltage cables, and you have to prove that we did an electromagnetic survey, but we were not able to find those cables. We were able to find only when we started excavating. Class 6.5, employee personnel. So delays by the employee personnel, for example, like inspection delays, you might have given the request for inspection, but the employee personnel is delaying. So record that we have submitted the inspection on so-and-so date, but we have not received any response from the employee side. So similarly, it goes for other employer interfaces or employer approvals required. Class 8.3 is a very important class. It directly connects with the program. Program is the foundation for the EOT. So the program must be updated and approved. If it is not approved, then, for example, especially the baseline, when it is not approved, it is going to create a very big question between the employer and the contractor on the EOT claim. So if it's outdated, then it doesn't have any impact on the EOT claim. So keep this updated always, not just to claim the EOT. You have to have an updated schedule to monitor what is happening. See, what gets measured gets controlled. If you want to measure it, you have to monitor it to the schedule. If you are not monitoring it, definitely it will go out of control. Class 8.4, this is the most important class because it directly addresses the EOT. So, what is your entitlement under which of the class we discussed before? And take the class and take the delay impact and do a delay analysis to prove that you have an extension of time entitlement, and also show that mitigation. Mitigation is not an optional. Mitigation is mandatory. Whoever the resource may be, anybody might be attributable for the delays, but the contractor has to take always enough steps to mitigate those delays. It is his responsibility. Class 8.5, delay due to authorities. Any delays from the permits or NOCs from third-party authorities, not directly from the employers, and show them that we have submitted properly and prehistorically we have received the NOCs and permits on so-and-so date, but this time it's too long, so we were not able to get the permits to start our works or the construction. For this, the employer will always try to prove that even though we have given the permit, you didn't have the proper resources to start the construction, or you didn't have in the sense, contractor doesn't have the proper manpower, machineries to start the work immediately. Class 13.7, legislation, that is change in law, change in taxes and structures, will definitely have an impact on the cost and time, like we said earlier. So prove that both the time impact and the cost impact. Class 20.1, it's also a very popular class because it directly deals with the claims. Mostly people forget about the notifications for the claim. So notify in 28 days, otherwise you will lose your entitlement under FIDIC 2 for the claim. So you maintain a separate notice log for the claims. So this is a very, very few or very easy checklist for EOT, but we have to go for a detailed checklist which we have shared earlier. So mandatory is notices, updated programs, records, analysis. Here is a delay analysis or disruption analysis, mitigation effects, and then it must have a meeting request. Let's close this and move forward. Thank you.